Hello, welcome to Asian Pacific America. I'm Robert Handa, your host for this show on NBC Bay Area and Cozy TV, highlighting the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. First, is there anything more compelling and more personal than tracing our roots, where we come from, where our families originated, where our communities started? It's especially complex when there are generations in a homeland country. Today we meet a group of dedicated people dedicated to those quests. And it is time to celebrate the Lunar New Year and spotlight a colorful holiday symbol, the orchid. Coming up, San Francisco's huge annual Pacific Orchid Exposition. And along with the expo, we will talk about celebrating in Taiwan and why it is such a hot destination right now. And how about celebrating the Lunar New Year Maui style? Our special guest has been honored as the best chef on Maui, and he will demonstrate a recipe that celebrates the new year and his own Hawaiian, Chinese, and Japanese heritage. And he'll tell us why now is a great time to visit Maui if you're not going to Taiwan. And we are thrilled to have back some musicians who have generated a big reaction every time they're on. They are young people playing traditional Chinese instruments. The Firebird Youth Orchestra produces a culturally historic and contemporary sound. You'll hear it for yourself coming up later on our show. Well, by now, most of us probably know that when we hear the term roots, we know it applies to beginnings, the foundation of who we are as an individual, a family, a community. Finding those roots can be quite a journey. To help us on that mission is a large group from the Himmark Lai Family History Project, a program for young people to research their Chinese ancestral roots. We have one of the founders, Albert Cheng, and joining him are some who have been on that journey, Francis Kwong, Caitlin Wong, and Derek Lee. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Albert, get us started here a little bit in terms of tell us how this project got started and what the need was that you saw.
Well, in 1989, we did a Chinese-American family history project, a genealogy workshop, and we had lots of people show up. And my co-founder, the late historian Himmark Lai, and I thought of bringing young people back to their homeland, where they originally came from. I myself went there the year before and was a very powerful experience for myself. So in 1990, we conceptualized this Roots program, and 1991 was the first year where we led young Chinese Americans to China in search of their ancestral homes in the Guangdong province in southern China. And this is going to be our 25th year.
Wow.
And Friends of Roots, of course, is our sponsor, along with the Chinese Historical Society, the Overseas Chinese Affairs Office of Guangdong Province.
Francis, give us an idea here in terms of when you did it. What was it that you got out of it?
So we went in July of this past summer, and what I got out of it was I was able to see where my grandfather grew up in the village that he left before moving to Hong Kong and then moving to the U.S. afterwards.
What about you, Caitlin?
So I was given the opportunity to visit a village where my grandfather who I had never met, and so I was able to find his village, and it was a very powerful experience where I felt like I could meet their spirits there.
What did you expect, and what was it like?
I wasn't sure what to expect, but it just felt like home the minute I stepped onto Chinese soil.
How about you, Derek?
My situation is a little bit unique. I've actually been to China before, and I've seen both of my grandparents' villages, but this trip is a little bit different for me. I wanted to go back with my cousin Caitlin right here and bring us back to see where my grandfather grew up.
Yeah, a little vicariously.
Yes.
How about you, Francis? What about you? What changed after going through that for you?
I think, well, it's a little corny to say, but I feel more rooted. I know where my grandparents came from. I know that when I visit other countries in the world, I know that there's things that I can connect with other people in those places because my grandparents grew up in a place like that.
That's pretty much the goal of what you want people to go through, right?
That's right, and we believe that strong roots build strong character, and strong character creates strong communities, and the strong communities give us a strong country.
Was it a particularly tough journey, Francis? Was it tough to do it, physically to do it?
Well, it was July, so it's the hottest time of the year to go to China. But it was great that we went as a group because we could all support each other. And I think what we really focused on was where we were going, what we would see there, and what we'd be able to bring back for our family to see.
Derek, did you try to prep your cousin at all in terms of the trip, on what to expect both emotionally and physically?
I didn't want to do too much. I wanted to kind of have our own experience. I didn't want to put too much inside her head before we went, but I did tell her it was going to be hot and there were lots of bug spray because there are a lot of bugs out there.
Caitlin, Albert was talking about changing, as a character. You said that you felt that rooting more grounded and things like that. Help you, like in life, and help you in other ways?
Yeah, I feel like it's helped me find or learn more about who I am, and that I'm more capable of doing many different things in my life, and I just felt more complete when I came home.
Francis, what did you find out about the relatives you saw and the family you saw?
So I didn't actually, well, the thing about relatives is that everyone in the village is somehow related because they can trace their genealogy back hundreds and hundreds of years. And so I know my dad's cousin's still there, and I found people who had actually known my grandfather before he left the village. And he left in 1932, so that's quite a long time ago.
How about you, Caitlin? How about the relatives that you met? What surprised you about them and their lives and the way they were as people?
It surprised me how generous they were. I remember this lady just gave me a construction bucket full of passion fruit, and I didn't know any Chinese, and she just laughed as she gave it to me, and we're just smiling, and I just loved how generous they were in the village.
Derek, when you came back, did you have a connection already? Did they feel differently about you, not having seen you for the first time, having seen you before?
Oh, actually, when I went back there, they remembered everything about my family and I felt kind of bad because I don't really remember too much about them when I met them 10 years ago, but it was interesting that they were asking about how my family was doing and how my grandfather is. And
any reason why the memory wasn't quite as vivid for you from the first visit?
I was very young at the time, and so now I'm much older and wiser, so that's actually part of the reason why I wanted to come back, to kind of remember it and go back home to share stories with my grandfather, who I don't think will be able to come back himself.
I should have guessed that, actually. He's pretty young now, huh? So. Albert, what is actually maybe the best age for somebody to go back and reconnect like that?
Well, for the regular program, for the summer program, we recommended 18 to about 30 years old. We also now have a Roots Plus program for people over 30. So the oldest we have brought to China is 72 years old, and so the youngest is 7. So we have 2 different programs now. People are interested, they can visit our website at www.friendsofroots.org, friendsofroots.org. Yeah.
Probably just as significant for the people that were visiting as
yes,
for those of you.
It is a very powerful moment for people. I think the search for identity is a very American thing that each one of us wants to know where we're from, and the need to be rooted is something each of us Americans want to feel in this country.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here and sharing those stories with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, if you want to hear more about the project, there will be an exhibit on display of Roots, the Him-Mark Lai Family History Project, at the Chinese Historical Society of American Museum at 965 Clay Street in San Francisco, and it will run through February 21st. Now, coming up, the Lunar New Year celebrations are upon us, and so is the annual Orchid event. You'll never see such a colorful way to celebrate the New Year, so see for yourself next.